And for the first time this year, cheer! Come on! The Rev is in with a remix on his music.
You can't even hear it because he hasn't got the headphones on.
I'll turn the mic. He's overwhelmed. He's overwhelmed.
Are you embarrassed? Are you embarrassed by us?
I'm a little embarrassed.
Now that's got
it totally pitches me up like I'm some sort of wrestler.
Well, that's actually John Cena's entrance music. That's a trap remix of John Cena.
Well, John Cena does kids movies.
He's a great guy.
He
Do you know
is.
John Cena has the highest amount of Make-A-Wish
Yep.
wishes of any person in the world?
Oh, good man.
And he makes an effort to make sure he goes to every single one of them.
He's a great guy. So nothing bad about that, Frank.
As a Make-A-Wish fan and as a family that has been a beneficiary of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, big fan. So I'll give him a big thumbs up for that one.
Well, you get to enjoy his theme intro music from now until forever. So, hey, welcome back for 2025. Nice summer for you.
It has been a good summer, yeah. Spent some time in Palmerston North. You know, that's where all New Zealanders go to holiday in
I'm
Palmerston North.
surprised you could get a booking that time of year.
A little bit
actually.
of time in Palmy with family. That was great. A little bit of time over in Ferry Landing, enjoying the beach. It's been good. Now our house is all packed up and we're moving house on Friday. So our house is a bit of mayhem and everything is really busy. But I thought I'd take time out for you guys.
Oh, well, thank you so much for gracing us in the studio. We catch up with the Reverend Frank Ritchie on a Wednesday for about half an hour. We talk a lot of things about faith, about life, sometimes stuff that's in the news. We're talking exercise as a spiritual discipline or act of worship.
Yeah, I saw this little article about this topic at Relevant Magazine yesterday when I was just perusing stuff online.
Yeah.
And it caught my attention. The article wasn't overly in-depth, but as someone who annually does a Christmas workout at the gym first
Sometimes the only workout he's done that year.
Well, you were the only one in the gym when you took that picture.
Usually, but I switched the gym just before Christmas, and there were a couple of other people there. I was weirded out. There were other people working out on Christmas morning, but I had switched gym, and then I've managed to be consistent since Christmas on the exercise and getting back on board with good nutrition after years of stress.
That's going to be the opposite of almost every other person in the country. Usually that's where all the health and fitness goes on hold or pause or never starts for a month or so, but you've been bucking the trend.
Yeah, for me it's been a really good reboot. And I'm conscious that, let's just get highly philosophical for a moment. We live in a culture that is very much shaped by the idea that I think, therefore I am. Descartes in the 16th century put forward that idea. And that idea has dominated our society and the way our culture has been shaped ever since, to say that the most important things that go on are the things that happen in your head. And if you look at how Christian worship has shaped and transformed over the years, we've come to understand worship and spirituality as being mostly things that happen internally, things that happen in our head and in our emotions. So where once upon a time, and if you head along to our more traditional churches, it still goes on. Once upon a time, a worship service would involve standing, kneeling, sitting, crossing yourself, doing a whole bunch of stuff that would involve your body. Now, largely, we're very focused on what goes on in our head. So the emotions that happen when we sing, the things that we're learning when a sermon is preached to us, it's all about what goes on in our head. So then when we think about spirituality, and we think about worship and we think about our own devotional life, we're often thinking about what goes on in our head. So one of the things that I've tried to focus on a little as I've been re-hitting the gym and exercise is thinking about my body as a gift from God. And how do I use my body? How do I utilize my body as something for worship? How do I look after it as an act of worship? So when I saw the article about exercise being an act of worship, I was totally on board. It's like, okay, if this thing is created by God and my body is as important as my mind, then what I do with my body is important. So exercise can therefore be an act of worship.
I was going to say, Frank, when you're talking about, worship and those practices being all in your head these days and no longer in the body, I was like, you need to get to a Pentecostal church, mate. You can be waving flags, you can be running up the aisles. If you go to certain ones, you'll be tired by the end of it. So not everyone.
I'm in your camp as well with the impact on the mindset as well. I mean, healthy body, healthy mind, right? How many times have we heard that being preached as well? Some people struggle with that, though. There's a lot of people who struggle with being able to engage the body and know that it is a gift from God, and very good at the other stuff, but the exercise, maybe the
neglected, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was challenged over Festival 1. Actually, I went to a
Were you really challenged over Festival 1 about this?
Huh? Yeah. Well, yes. So I went to talk with a guy called James Beck, who does this thing called Eco Church, right? And he did a talk about stewardship of the planet and the environment and things like that in terms of your faith, and how often that is like a big neglected part of what we do as a church. And I said, we don't talk about that very often. It's not in our preaching. It's not in our sermons very much, but it's a big part of what God left us to do, right? Be stewards of the earth that we are on. And in the same way, stewards of our body, like you mentioned, right? And I don't think we talk about health very much in our churches or our Christian communities very much either, right? It's kind of a topic we just sort of leave up to individuals. That's you, however you want to live is fine.
Because again, we've elevated what goes on internally as the most important thing, rather than remembering that this physical creation is God's gift. It is God's gift, and it is God's mechanism to communicate with us as well. So I'd say if someone is just feels unable to hit the exercise button, I completely understand. If you spend all your time on social media, you're probably seeing buff people who are doing these amazing workouts and going, I can't do that. But just getting out and walking outside for 5 minutes, like just whatever is the next little step for you to connect with your body and connect with creation, even if it is just recognizing that I hardly ever go outside. So today I'm going to walk outside. I'm going to feel the sun or the rain or whatever the weather's doing for just a little bit of time to reconnect to your body and to remember that this is a gift. And as you look around, taking time to pause and to look at creation and to go, what is God saying to me about himself and what it is that I'm seeing?
I was just going to add, it's an important and an opportunity to be able to have that quiet space with God as well. I mean, yesterday, the hardest step is the first one.
Yeah.
To get off the couch and go, I got to walk outside. I walked the dog. I didn't want to do that late yesterday afternoon. But it just gives you an opportunity to be with creation and to connect your thoughts with God as well.
Yeah.
So the byproduct of that is the exercise, but you get an opportunity to connect with God as well.
And I do want to point out here that if people are finding that hard, I totally get it. For me, this has been an up and down journey now for about 5 years, dealing with stress. And I've had moments where I've wanted to do it and I've put on the gear to go out for a walk or a run or go off to the gym, and I just haven't been able to pull the trigger to step outside. So I totally get it. But it is a good thing to do. And ultimately, our mind and our internal being will thank us for it, because the physical being and the internal being are connected.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be just a vanity thing, right? Which I think some people push it into that camp of, not for me, but there's quite a, spiritual, physical, mental aspect that you can connect all the things together.